All right, let's start this party in Arizona. That's where the Cardinals have that #1 pick. And here's who they picked in the first round under Steve Keim in years past. You see, Jonathan Cooper, he went 7th in 2013. And remember a year ago, Josh Rosen said that there were 9 mistakes ahead of him? Well, we'll see how that all shakes out because Bucky Brooks is on the clock picking numero uno.
You know, this is really tough because I really like the guy that I took last year, my quarterback, Josh Rosen, and I view him as a franchise quarterback. However, we made a decision in the offseason. We wanted to get better. We wanted to be a little more innovative on offense. We brought Cliff Kingsbury in. And so naturally, when you bring a coach in, you got to give him the weapons that he wants. And so he found a guy at Oklahoma, Heisman Trophy winner, a dual threat playmaker in Kyler Murray that he believes can take our franchise to higher heights. So I'm going to go with Kyler Murray as the #1 pick overall.
Okay.
All right.
And I'm really excited. Come on. I'm really excited about Kyler Murray coming on board because he gives us what a lot of guys don't have. He's an explosive playmaker, but he's also a polished pocket passer. And so he can make plays happen that are on script, but also it's the unscripted things that he can do. And look, we've been struggling with the offensive line. I don't know if I can fix that this year, but I do know he can make it right. And with the playmakers that we're going to build around him, he could be a Pat Mahomes-like playmaker for us in the future.
Boy, you're really weeding it up. Where's Josh Rosen, though, right now?
Oh, we got to talk to Josh. I haven't had a chance to get him on the phone. He's not taking my calls right now. But we're going to get him on the phone, and we're going to do what's best for him and make sure he's very, very comfortable in
someone
his next
else's
spot.
franchise quarterback.
See, I'm applauding for Jimmy Garoppolo, Russell Wilson, and Jared Goff because God knows they don't want to find one of those elite defensive ends opposite Chandler Jones twice a year. So everybody very happy with that selection, Kyler Murray.
But couldn't Josh Rosen run your offense?
He could
But
run it.
you just think this guy
I just
can run
think
it better?
Kyler Murray would take it to another level. I think if we had to play with Josh Rosen, we certainly could play with him. We could win with
Because
him.
if you go back through the air raid,
Yeah,
there aren't a ton of mobile quarterbacks that run the air raid.
No.
Most of them have been guys who have sat there and thrown the
But
football.
what's so great about Kyler Murray is he's played in a version of the air raid, and we saw what he was able to do in 1 year at Oklahoma in a version of air raid. So what we would do is take some of those concepts that Lincoln Riley made him very, very comfortable with, put that in, add a little NFL stuff with David Johnson, and make sure that offensively we're able to go. Because at the end of the day, you got to be able to score points in this league.
Yeah, Kyler Murray, the first player to average 300 passing yards per game and 60 rushing yards per game from tape to tape all season long. Now let's stay in the NFC West for the second pick with those San Francisco 49ers. And who better to make that pick than the man who once roamed those sidelines at the field they call the stick?
All righty, baby, let's go. Let's go. Let's have some fun here, Steve Young. Let's have some fun. Let's run that for the touchdown. Brown right, F left, 65 lead. Let's go get it. Now that's defense. That's defense. Nice job. Head up, baby. Did he get it? Did he get it? No, come on, Minucci. That's the first time that's been called in this league in 47 years. This is fun, Steve Young. Woo! That's it! Woo!
Can you still do that?
Man, that's some
That's actually what I see every
What
game
kind of
morning.
vertical jump was that?
I think that was very good.
13?
And I think that's the same reaction you have now in the grandkids show.
I know it. Same
Right?
thing, huh?
Same thing, right?
Yeah, that was fun times. That was about 400 years ago. Okay, so
Well, you
do I
look
get
great.
to pick right now, Cole?
Yes.
All right. Here's the thing. Arizona in our division just picked a guy that can run around like crazy, all right? I think that guy up in Seattle runs around like crazy, too. So we got to be able to chase him down. So I'm thinking defense for the 49ers, all right? Yeah, they had a busy offseason with D Ford. That's a great get, right? And Quan Alexander. But if I got to take another defensive guy and I want to have bookend pass rushers, I'm going to take this guy named Nick Bosa from the Ohio State, and I've got D Ford. And you know what? They've been drafting defensive linemen like crazy. McGlinchey last year was an offensive lineman, but before that, Solomon Thomas, DeForest Buckner, and Eric Armstead, a couple of Ducks. But you're talking about a couple of bookend pass rushers. This guy, he doesn't have a lot of starts over there at Ohio State because he's been hurt 2 years in a row a little bit. But you know what? He's going to be a great player. The Niners are going to be great on defense again. To make the playoffs, they got to be great on defense.
Coach, I got to jump in real quick and ask you because you're a quarterback guru. We know the edge rushers have always been an issue. But hasn't it been lately a huge emphasis on those guys inside that when your quarterback steps up, you got to throw over the top of them. Mm-hmm. Now you got the guy coming into the division like that. But doesn't Bosa also translate not just edge, But inside,
he can go inside. Exactly. And plus, the other guys that I just mentioned, Solomon Thomas and DeForest Buckner, they can play outside and inside too. So you're talking about 5 guys now that can really stop the run and rush the passer. They will be as good as anybody in the league in their front.
They're going to need to because they were historically bad at turning the ball over last season.
Yeah, they had 7 takeaways all year. They got to pressure the quarterback.
Everybody's in on the boy genius, Sean McVay, and everything else. But 2 years ago, it was all about Kyle Shanahan and his genius. With that defense, with the high-end pieces they have, now with 2 pass rushers along with D Ford, you just won the division for the San Francisco 49ers.
We're back here to win titles.
Didn't we say that exact same thing last year?
Yes.
They traded for Jimmy Garoppolo.
They
just won the division from that trade.
I said wait till 2019.
Don't forget the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have
all
won the
around
division
that
last 3
mock
years in
draft,
the South.
live draft table. So Murray and Bosa going 1-2. No surprises so far. Mock's looking pretty chalky, but the Jets hoping that year 2 of the Sam Darnold experiment will yield better results. Edge rusher, offensive line, cornerback, tight end, wide receiver. There's a litany of team needs. So they're picking number 3, Cynthia Freeland. You are on the clock for Gang Green. What's up?
Well, my phone hasn't been ringing even though I've tried to call everyone to trade with me. So I'm going to pick here, and I'm actually going to get lucky because you didn't take with the 49ers the guy who I thought would be helpful for C.J. Mosley and Jamal Adams, a former first-round pick for me. But I'm actually going to go to Alabama, and I'm going to say, welcome to the team, Quinnen Williams. Greg Williams will get a great opportunity to create a bunch of different hybrid fronts with him. And this kid's actually my highest-rated overall player in the entire draft. So I just got the best one possible, even though I would have liked to pick up a second-round pick. We don't have a second-round pick in New York. I would have liked to trade down and maybe get into the second round, too. But you know what? Great. I got the best player in the draft right here.
And I agree with that. I think Quinnen Williams arguably is the best player in the draft. When you watch him and the disruption that he creates on the inside, here's someone that can absolutely take over the game. And the beauty of Greg Williams' defense, some of the 46 stuff that he does, he can move the pieces around, being Leonard Williams, Quinnen Williams, and then you have Jamal Adams.
A lot of Williams on the team.
A lot of Williams and C.J. Mosley. So you have to be strong right down the middle. I believe the Jets now are sturdy and stout right down the middle.
Greg Williams is the guy that always says like his defense is the version of the West Coast offense. It can change, it can move. You can put pieces different places, blitz safeties, blitz corners, blitz linebackers, but it's always the same call. So you can get a lot of repetition there. It may be nice for him.
Did I just win the division?
No.
Fire the first shot. Let's go, man.
Keenum loads it up. Tim Patrick, the big receiver, comes down with it, gets up, nods into the Raider bench.
Shut the up. Coming over to the right. Great move. 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Breaks free. He's going to go the distance. Touchdown, Raiders. Hey, can you believe that? Smart dude, man. He's a smart dude. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, man. Santa Claus is coming. Bring it up.
So 3 picks for John Gruden and GM Mike Mayock in the first round of the draft this year. And MJD, you know what they say, good pass rushers?
They're hard to find.
They are hard to find, man, but maybe the Silver and Black will be able to tab one this year. Matt Money Smith on the clock for the Silver and Black. It's go time.
Well, here's what I got to figure out with my Raider team, right? Now, you got to draft in your division, right? I got to get after Phillip Rivers. I got to get after Pat Mahomes. Now I got to get after Joe Flacco. A lot of people are saying that you need an edge, right? You had fewer sacks than individuals, like 5 individuals in the NFL. But I'm going to deploy, I don't know, Cynthia, you can help me out. Is it calculus or is it Euclidean geometry? The shortest distance between 2 points is what?
Straight line.
A straight line.
Yeah.
So that means instead of coming after the quarterback from all the way out here, why don't I come after him from right here? Okay. And I'm going to keep my defensive coordinators up at night. Gus Bradley, Steve Spagnuolo. These guys are going to be like, what are we going to do with Ed Oliver? How are we going to stop this guy? They can move him all over the field. They can deploy him from so many different spots. And I'm freaking out now because I got to deal with this guy twice a year in my division. Ed Oliver is my pick for the Raiders at number 4.
Look at that. Ed Oliver.
So is that your way of shortening the hypotenuse as well?
I think it is.
Exactly right.
That's
That's exactly right.
That's how we're doing it?
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
I like that. That gut pressure. We just talked about that with Nick Bosa and what he can provide when he goes inside and sub the nickel packages. Now you got a guy who just lives there. That's where he is. Upfield rusher. That's what he does.
You know, maybe there's a little bias because I watched it with the Chargers all season. Phillip Rivers struggled in games where they got interior pressure against their guards. Dan Feeney, Schofield was kind of the weak spot of that line, and that looks to be the weak spot of a lot of these lines in the West.
It's not only that. Coaches want to recreate what they had previously. So if you think about John Green when he had success, Tampa Bay's defense, Warren Sapp in the middle, they had Derek Brooks on the next level, then they had a safety. So this is the first piece. You got 3 first-round picks, so maybe Ed Oliver's your Warren Sapp, and we'll see if you can come back and get a linebacker and a safety later on.
Ed Oliver, also from the same neighborhood as Slim Thugs.
Yeah,
good
See, you
dude.
stole it from me. I was just about to say that.
Always
I know,
a good piece
right?
of information and money. You may want to cross-check with Cynthia. I think it's the Pythagorean theorem. Cynthia, is that what that is?
It's more of a Sokotoa situation.
Okay. All right. Time now for Stock Market presented by
you guys lost
Nationwide. We're checking in with Ed Oliver, mountain of a man at almost 6'2", 282 pounds. He was a third-team All-American and the first 3-time All-American in the history of the University of Houston. He compares to Aaron Donald, Geno Atkins, and Solomon Thomas. And you see our guys have him going all over the place. DJ to the Jets, Peter Schrager to the Raiders, MJD to Seattle. DJ says he has an explosive first step, and that right there is Scout Market presented by Nationwide. Now we move on to those Tampa Bay Buccaneers because they have a whole bunch of team needs, including linebacker, defensive line. They were 31st when it came to scoring defense, last in red zone D. So, Colleen, I don't know if you're in the same thought process as I am, but you're on the clock for those Buccaneers.
All right. Okay, so look, the Bucs, it's been 2 straight 5-11 seasons for them. They haven't made the postseason since 2007. Now they have Bruce Arians there. They have new leadership at the offensive and defensive coordinator spots. And with Todd Bowles there, they're going to have a lot of different looks. They're going to go to a little bit more of a 3-4 system. And right now, I'm looking at this board, and I cannot believe that this man has fallen to us because I originally was thinking, well, maybe we would go a linebacker here, even though it's pretty rich at that number because Quan Alexander's gone. Maybe we put in another LSU linebacker and bring in Devin White. That would be a great fit. But with Josh Allen right there for me to just snag up at a premium position in the NFL, absolutely, I am taking an edge rusher. Have him right there as a pass rusher opposite JPP. They could really get something going there. And look, they tried to make over their defensive line last year. Didn't really work out for them at all. They were tied for 19th in sacks, so they definitely need that spot. And plus, it's just great value for where you are.
Tremendous value. When I look at Josh Allen, he reminds me a lot of Chandler Jones when Chandler Jones was coming out. Being able to place him opposite JPP gives them a guy that can hunt after those quarterbacks that are in the NFC South.
All right, well, coming up next, it's the Giants, and of course, a very interesting first-round pick. Could they actually take Eli Manning's successor right here? Well, let's have a glance at the quarterback that they have taken in the round of 1. Phil Simms, of course, 7th overall back in 1979. That worked out pretty well for them, able to put some fingerprints on a Vince Lombardi trophy, not once but twice. Phillip Rivers, we know how that deal shook out because Phil Rivers went to San Diego, and now he's here in Los Angeles. And Eli Manning, another 2-time Super Bowl champion in New York. It's a concrete jungle where dreams are made of. Charles Davis, you're on the clock for Big Blue.
All right, appreciate that, Cole. And then, listen, I'm Dave Gettleman. I'm not going to force a quarterback pick, okay? No. If I don't like a quarterback, I'm not forcing it. I'm taking what my board says. And if you are a fan of the New York Giants, and you go all the way back to Steve Owen as the head coach, when the Giants were great, it was defense, defense, defense. That's what the crowd chanted in Yankee Stadium. When Jim Cavage came around the edge and got after the quarterback, Andy Robustelli, Sam Huff. And then when you got to Bill Parcells, how did they win a couple Super Bowls? LT, Harry Carson and crew. A lot of defense there. And then you get to the present day. Justin Tuck and those guys rushing inside and getting in the face of Tom Brady and winning a couple Super Bowl titles. It's all about defense in New York. But by the way, they like quarterbacks there too. Dwayne Haskins, Ohio State. It is time. Love this kid. Big, strong arm thrower. He's my #1 quarterback in this draft.
Wow. Good job. You had us going. I thought you were going to pick defense.
I did too.
Look, guys, they got to listen. He's a redshirt sophomore, so it makes perfect sense for Eli to play this year. This kid sit behind him for 1 more year, get an opportunity to acclimate to New York, acclimate to the system, and be able to run Pat Shurmur's deal. And he's going to throw it from the pocket, just like Eli did. They'll find some more receivers and people to block for him up front. But I hear all this talk about this kid slipping. Okay, slip if you want to. You let him drop if you want to. Everyone wants Daniel Jones because he fits like Eli did. This kid's a better player.
Yeah, CD, were we in a vacuum, I would think that's the great pick. But Saquon Barkley, what you talk about a running back's prime in the NFL in the 21st century, it starts the day he walks into the building. You're wasting Saquon's prime by taking a backup to Eli Manning. What you need to do is build around Eli and Saquon for 2019. If that's the premise that you've engaged in, then that's what. Then that's Dave Jonas or something.
Guys, Dave, we built around Saquon last year, and that didn't work all that well. Even though he was a terrific player, they've got to get someone who can open things up and be that quarterback. His prime's not gone after 1 year.
The Giants have been in the playoffs once in the last 7 years. Okay, this is his last year on his contract. I don't know if he's going to be there after that or not.
We'll see.
But people were criticizing them for not taking a quarterback last year, all right?
Yep, right.
But you know what? I know this kid, Dwayne Haskins. He was in our Under Armour game. He grew up a Giants fan. He loves it. It's a perfect fit. The kid's a gentleman. He threw for 50 touchdowns at Ohio State.
Which no one has done before.
Huh? And you know what? If you throw for 50 touchdowns in the NFL, you win the MVP, don't you?
Patrick Mahomes did.
Yeah, though this kid's a gentleman. He's a good thrower. He's got a nice quick release. He's good in the pocket. It's a perfect system fit. And he's going to sit behind a good player for a while. I like your pick.
Thank you.
Appreciate that very much. And
thank you.
Listen, Saquon won Rookie of the Year last year, and they still were criticized for the pick because they didn't take a quarterback. They take the quarterback now and move forward.
And Colleen, that was a great point. Haskins did break Drew Brees' passing touchdown record in the Big Ten. MJD, that's a perfect segue as we get to you because we're going to move to the Jags. They hold the 7th pick. And making that selection, Jacksonville's second leading rusher of all time and a man who racked up more than 10,000 all-purpose yards while playing down there in Duval County. 3-time Pro Bowler, 2011 rushing champ, MJD. Give us the goods, Mr. Maurice. What do you got?
Are you ready?
I'm ready for
All right, listen.
I know you're not going to disappoint.
Okay, in my first mock draft, I had Kyler Murray falling to 7. Didn't know all this hype was going to come around. I didn't know they were going to take Nick Foles. So if we're going to pay a quarterback $22 million, we have to get him pieces. And Colleen, we've spoke a lot about Nick Foles in the Super Bowl run. Who does he like to throw the ball to?
Oh, big receivers.
And who?
And a guy by the name of Zach.
Yeah, say what is his name?
Zach Ertz.
Zach Ertz.
You got Zach Ertz in there?
I'm trying to find the Zach Ertz, but I'm going to go with a TJ instead of TJ Hawkinson because, again, this guy's going to help us be better in both the running game and the passing. We're Jacksonville. We're going to run the ball regardless if you put the whole stadium in the box or not. It doesn't matter. And in that situation, this guy can help us in the running game. He can help us in the passing game. This guy can go over the middle. Where Nick Foles, those are his best throws are over the middle. And you got to have a guy that can roam that and beat linebackers and safeties. Hawkinson is that guy for me. I was kind of torn because I wanted to go Noah Fant, but I said, you know what? Instead of doing that, I need a guy that can help us both in the run game and the pass game. Guess what? We're back to the AFC Championship game with this pick. Thank you.
Yeah. No, but you're right. Nick Foles, he's at his best. He was at his best at every single team when he had a strong offensive line and he had playmakers around him. Big physical playmaking guys.
And remember, they get their left tackle, Cam Robinson, back from injury, so that's really good for their O-line as well.
You can't go wrong controlling the middle of the field. TJ Hawkinson is the best tight end in this draft, and then giving Nick Foles someone that he can target in between the hashes is going to open things up off play action.
TJ
Tom,
Hawkinson,
call me.
As big as all outside. He's going to get MJD on the horn soon enough, but it's time now for Pro Resume presented by Lowe's, and the focus of it, Hawkinson, as we said, big man, almost 6'5", 251 pounds. He was good enough in 2018 to bring home the Mackey Award. Second team All-American, second team All-Big Ten. Led the Iowa Hawkeyes in receiving yards. You look at David Njoku, Julius Thomas, Tyler Eifert. Those are his best comparisons. And Daniel Jeremiah says he ragdolled defensive ends and linebackers. So you may want to take note of that real quick. And that right there. Now we're back here on Mock Draft Live, and 1 through 7 already rattled off the board. We saw a pair of teammates out of Columbus, OHIO, in Nick Bosa and Dwayne Haskins going respectively to San Francisco and New York. And Columbus, just a stone's throw from Detroit and the Lions. They're up next, and their former coach, Steve Mariucci, he is on the clock. And Mooch, who you got coming up next?
Okay, I'll tell you. You know, Matt Patricia did a nice job in his rookie season last year. It won 6 games, but that was still last in that division now. It's a tough division, right? You got some quarterbacks over there with Aaron Rodgers and Trubisky, and you got Kirk Cousins. So defense has got to be important to them. They've got their own quarterback who's pretty darn good. he was able to go grab Trey Flowers from New England, right? That was a good get. But let's get another guy. There's a guy named Rashawn Gary from Michigan. He won't even have to move out of his apartment in Ann Arbor. He can commute over there to Detroit. But this guy, he can play outside edges. He's a freak, man. He runs a 4.58 40, and he's been hurt. You know, that's one of the reasons his production was down a little bit. But you can put him inside, you can put him outside. He's got a good motor. And when this guy's right, when he's healthy, he probably is the best guy on their board at this point. Plus, he fills the need. Rashawn Gary from Michigan is going to be a good get for the Lions.
Look, he is athletic. He's an athletic freak. What you would like to see is the production match the athleticism. So Matt Patricia and his staff have to find a way to kind of tap into Rashawn Gary's ticker and see if they can get him going. But when he flashes, he's a dominant player. We'll just see if he can be consistent coming off the edge.
But he does have a rent-controlled apartment, so he's good.
There you go. Keep it then.
All right, let's make the move from Detroit to Buffalo. The Bills, they'll be picking 9th, and you see their team needs listed right there, tight end and running back, specifically jumping off the page and picking for Buffalo. Their former second-round selection, our draft expert, hater of the year, Bucky Brooks. Go, my man. Hater of the year.
Yeah, like they say that, hey, because I'm critical. I'm a critical thinker. And so I'm thinking about the Buffalo Bills. And there are a lot of people that chastised us last year when we took our quarterback, Josh Allen. But all Josh Allen did was run all over the yard, gave us some life, gave us some hope. So what we decided this offseason, we're going to build around him. So we went and added some playmakers, Cole Beasley, John Brown. We added Andre Roberts to give us better field position. So I'm going to continue to add another playmaker to the mix. Noah Fant, tight end from Iowa. And I know this is high, and it's probably uncommon to see a school produce 2 tight ends that are not only in the first round, but in the top 10. But when I watched Iowa play, and I'm looking at Hawkinson, I can't take my eyes off Fant because Fant is the ideal flex tight end. He's a guy that can split out. He can dominate mismatches in space against linebackers and safeties. Look, you want to improve a guy's completion rate, give him some easy tosses, and the easiest tosses over the middle of the field to a guy that is consistently winning. That's why Noah Fant is our new tight end in Buffalo.
Wow, I like the way you think because in my last mock draft, I gave him Noah Fant there. And I think he's the best tight end in the draft the way the NFL plays nowadays. Receiving tight end before combo. Now, if you're going to run the football, Hawkinson fits what you're doing, but this kid is fine. The only question I would have is that young quarterback running the single wing last year.
Oh, yeah, run the single wing.
Do you want to get some people who maybe you can keep him from having to run the single wing, maybe a blocker,
it would be nice to get a blocker in the offseason. We got some guys, but I just believe this tight end is different than the others that would be available in the second round. I want to go with a difference maker. I think he can be a difference maker. So I'm willing to put a 5-star talent around him, and I'm hoping that Josh Allen can improve.
Yeah, he's going to be a happy kid.
Wow.
Making their mark as tight end university, George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson, and Noah Fant keeping the string alive. Let's move to Denver. Here's how some of our experts see the road ahead shaking out for them. Lance and Bucky of the same mindset, going with TJ Hawkinson, but MJD, he hasn't gone already to Jacksonville. So Dave Damashek, what say you, buddy, for those Denver Broncos, man?
I say Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco's your guy. In 2019, Joe Flacco has not been a quarterback who can carry your team. We have not seen him look like that since the first Avengers movie came out. Barack Obama had just won re-election the last time Joe Flacco looked like a decent NFL quarterback. In an era in which we are very close to full QB saturation, every NFL team will have a viable starting quarterback. Our nation's capital doesn't, Miami doesn't. Denver is teetering right on that edge there, but is Drew Lock really the answer? Not with the guys that are in the pipeline in college and beyond. I'm going to go with the safe pick. Chubb, Von Miller, and how about you drop Devin White into that defense too? They won in 2015 with a dominant defense. Let's see if they can get it going again on the defensive side.
And he's a big horse guy, too, so this is perfect with the Broncos. Hey.
Well, for me, it reminds me of what Chicago did last year with Roquan Smith. Vic Fangio goes and gets his middle linebacker, puts him in there, and he wasn't as productive as we thought he would be, but he got everyone in place. They were able to rush the passer. He could cover out of the backfield. He made an immediate impact. I think Devin White does the same thing for the Denver Broncos. Like you said, you have that pass rush. You have Derek Wolfe in the middle. You have Chris Harris, obviously, at the corner position. You get that guy to kind of get everyone set and can go sideline to sideline. All of a sudden, Denver is a defense that we may start to be scared of.
And there's a lot of people that got him as the number one player in the draft. Yeah. Devin White, just a linebacker position, he gets pushed down.
And we have Eric Lemus in research making sure there's an Old Town Road in Denver because Devin White will certainly take his horse there. Now, next up, the Bengals. Safe to say,
You know that song?
there are two needs in Cincy. Almost everything when it comes to defense, dead last everywhere it matters. And Cynthia Freeland, this is being simulcast on WKRP. You're on the clock for those Bengals.
Well, look, I really have some easy wins here because I'm picking 12, and I have a huge need at linebacker. And there's this guy, and what are you doing here? Shaq's trying to mess with me because he's a Pittsburgh fan.
I see the
I see what's going on here.
There we go.
Yeah, exactly. A pink fingernail polish on, too. This one really makes a difference to me because I need to stop kind of the way modern running backs play. Cleveland reloaded. We've got to face James Conner. We've got a lot going on in the division. So I'm just going to go ahead and slot Devin Bush right in here. It's like a very high Big Ten draft here. 6th Big Ten player taken so far in our draft. He has a lot of snaps in coverage, kind of even more than Devin White at the linebacker position last season. He's proven to me that he's good against the pass, and I really need to stop those dynamic running backs. So for me, Devin Bush fills a huge need. It's a great spot. It actually kind of matches like right about where he should go just in general, so I don't even need to trade here. And then maybe in the second round, if he's still there, Jarrett Stidham at 42 could be someone that I look at the quarterback position.
When you look at the Bengals and just go back a couple years, and fair or not, they took the big swing at John Ross, right? And it didn't work out, whether it was injury, and that's something that plagued him when he was at Washington. What do you want from your first rounder? You always think it's got to hit. So maybe it's not that huge swing, but Devin Bush is a double that could turn into a triple. He is a solid, high floor player, very hard to miss on someone with his athleticism, his measurables, and obviously the production. So just a solid pick for that team.
Back here on Mock Draft Live, Devin Bush, the last player peeled off the board. Cynthia Freeland had him going to the Cincinnati Bengals. But when it comes to the Packers, well, they need some tight end help with Jimmy Graham and Mercedes Lewis. Currently, the only guys making a splash right about now. The Iowa Hawkeyes, Hawkinson and Fant, off the board. So Aaron Rodgers, he needs some weapons. Mooch, the clock is yours.
Thank you.
You coached there too, right?
Yeah, I coached there too. The guy that's coaching there.
Pretty much lean on that for every team, right?
I coached at a lot of places,
Didn't
man.
you cut Kurt Warner
I couldn't. We cut Kurt Warner, and he still brings that up. What's the matter with him? Anyway, so they've got a new coach, right? Matt LaFleur, who used to coach at my alma mater, the Northern Michigan University, all right? And they hired him for a reason. He's an offensive guy, right? And let's get along and let's get the most out of Aaron Rodgers. He's our Hall of Fame quarterback. So his job in this draft is to help Aaron Rodgers be Aaron Rodgers. Well, the two tight ends that I was considering, they're gone, right? Receiver would be another thought here, but I think we can get a receiver at 30. So I'm going to find an offensive lineman. You know that they've had issues and injuries at the offensive line. Brian Bulaga, what's that beat for? Brian Bulaga is getting up in age, and so I'm going to grab a tackle here. Jawan Taylor from Florida is a heck of a football player. Take a look at him right here. Very athletic, he's strong, he can pass protect, that's what they want. The Green Bay Packers were sacked 53 times and threw the ball away 63 times. That's the most in the league. A lot of wasted plays, all right? So let's protect for the future. Aaron Rodgers is our guy. We got to keep him upright so he can do his thing. Jawan Taylor from Florida.
I love the pick because I think Jawan Taylor is so talented. He actually played left tackle. They had Montez Ivy, and for whatever reason, they felt like Ivy was a better left tackle. But this guy's athletic. He's nasty. He's great on the run game, but he's also solid in the pass. I think is a terrific pick to make sure that your franchise quarterback is protected.
Yeah, you're not just helping Aaron Rodgers, you're helping Aaron Jones.
Yes.
And that's a guy who's dynamic and a slasher, and Jawan Taylor is an automated people mover. All right, people are going to get out of the way. So
hear me now, believe me later. 2019 is the year that we see Aaron Rodgers return to form and remind everybody who the
Just
best
like
quarterback
is.
Is he gonna, who makes it? Packers or
Let me
Niners?
write this down.
Yeah.
That's right.
Packers are your Super Bowl contender.
Packers.
You watch.
All right, Taylor only allowing one sack a season ago, guys. He was efficient as Dave Damashek's Hans and Franz reference. Now we move on to Miami. Once again, Bucky and Lance sharing the same brain right there. But could Haskins be the franchise quarterback the Finns need? Chuck D has him going to the G-men already. So Colleen Wolfe. The Dolphins, they need a pick.
All right. Well, they need a lot, Cole. There's when you look at all of their needs, there's so many glaring ones. And yes, with Drew Lock still on the board, it's tempting. But at this point, I think with Brian Flores there and his defensive background, we're not allowed to trade down in this mock draft we're doing. In this situation, I would really try to if I was them, but I'm going to go with the best defensive player available. And right now, that is Clemson's Christian Wilkins. One of the Power Rangers, that's what they called themselves, that defensive line. And look, Miami's run defense was an absolute sieve last year. 31st. He can stop the run. He can also defend the pass. And he has great dance moves and can do a split. And Bucky, I know that's important when you're.
It's very important that you can do a split as a big man. 300 pounds.
You never know when that happens.
Hit it all the way down. Hit that thing. The thing that I like about Wilkins is his athleticism and his versatility. I believe he can play anywhere on the defensive front, from the 0 all the way out to the 9. And when you think about Brian Flores and what they did in New England, the versatility, being able to morph defenses game to game, Wilkins is a piece that you can use in a variety of different roles.
Well, I thought the Bills were going to take him. I thought you were going to take him as the Bills to kind of replace who they lost, Kyle Williams, last in the offseason. So I'm surprised he's available here.
I am too.
Go watch that tape against Alabama.
thank you.
I thought you were going to bring that
player.
up and how he really, I mean, Alabama, this is a very staunch rival. The way that he looked on there, the production that he had in that game specifically, this is a great pick at 13.
Kid won
Dominated.
academic Heisman as well. Brian Flores, smart defense.
Right, Christian Wilkins, he can do the splits. MJD, how about you? Are you that limber? No.
Someone at this table can do a salad.
He's muscle bound.
I can do splits. We're good. I got you.
They're on the
I'll
clock,
do it for
and we
you.
know last year, 26 overall, they
don't do
took
that.
Calvin Ridley, Tack McKinley before that, and they've had some pretty good success. Keanu Neal, Vic Beasley, and Jake Matthews. So, Money, when it comes to Atlanta, what are you thinking?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I was thinking Jawan Taylor to get that nasty streak on the right side.
They got you.
Yeah, he's gone. Then I was thinking Christian Wilkins, perfect, because
Boom.
Grady Jarrett
Sorry.
is on the franchise tag, so he would slide right in next season and obviously rotate in on that interior line. And then I go through my needs, and I see, granted, some unrestricted free agents signed in the offseason at guard. Maybe a little too rich for Bradbury here. Might think tight end, but now both those elite guys are gone. And then I go to the defensive side. I got a head coach that's a defensive guy in Dan Quinn. Vic Beasley was a wild disappointment last year. And I'm in a division with now Bruce Arians as a head coach. I'm in a division with Drew Brees, with Cam Newton. I'm going to get my number 6 player on my vertical 50, Montez Sweat. And this is someone who produced in every single game. If you go through his game log, you'll see tackle for loss, half sack, forced fumble. Look at that Tax Slayer Bowl 2 seasons ago when Lamar Jackson's running around back there for Louisville. What's he doing? Corralling the supreme athlete that Jackson was. I'm going to put this guy on the defensive line and get after it. Just a supreme athletic specimen, 6'6", 260, vertical 36 inches. A guy that ran a 4.41 in the 40. You kidding me? And he's still available at 14. I'm all over it if I'm Dan Quinn and company.
Well, you know Dan Quinn and that defense, they just want pass rushers. That's all they want to do is get after the quarterback, sit back, play cover 3, and harass the quarterback. And you have Tack McKinley obviously there. You get Montez Sweat. You're starting to build a team up with a rotation that could be pretty, deadly in that division.
We're back here in Mock Draft Live, and you too can play the home game at the house on draft night with NFL.com's Predict the Pick. Build your own mock draft and see how you stack up against our experts. All you have to do, go to NFL.com/Predict the Pick, and you're entered just like that. Now we're to pick 15, those Redskins. Well, here's how they look over at NFL.com when it comes to mocks. This time around, DJ and Chuck, they like Brian Burns, but Bucky and Lance, they're in a Hollywood and greedy state of mind. So Chuck D, on the clock, bring the noise.
Yeah, this is a tough one for Jay Gruden as a head coach because he doesn't get to make the pick. And he's in a situation now where the last couple of years, a lot has been forgiven due to injuries. Because we were in November last year. Washington was in first place, the NFC East. And then all the injuries hit. And despite Adrian Peterson's great story, no one could play quarterback once Alex Smith went down. And by the time it was over, I think you got to try out, I got to try out till they saw me throw. Cynthia was throwing darts. But here's the deal on this. Offensive line, I think that they're going to be better just by health.
Yes.
Just by health, because I thought about Jonah Williams and moving him to guard to be next to Sheriff. I also took a good look at Brian Burns coming off the edge, because I like him a bit and his ability to play linebacker as well. Don't forget Drew Lock at quarterback. But Jay Gruden needs to win now. I'm saying cornerback, Greedy Williams, put him opposite Josh Norman, dealing with Amari Cooper, dealing with Alshon Jeffrey in the division. That's where I'm going. I'm not as high on Greedy as other people are, but he fits the profile of what you need. Long corner, great ball skills, and you're talking about locking man-to-man and just say, go get that cat. That's what Greedy Williams does, and that's what I think Washington will do with it.
No, he does. He does lock up. In fact, you talked about him playing opposite Josh Norman. he could be the replacement for Josh Norman. When you think about it, he's long, he's athletic, he's rangy. The question that you have about him, is he tough enough? He's going to come down and smack when you need to in the run game. But if they're playing a lot of man-to-man, that's going to take him away from the box. Athletically, he is fine.
This team is better than their record would indicate. 7-9 last year. They had more guys on injured reserve than any team in the league. They had to take a quarterback out of the Alliance League, Josh Johnson, right, to start some games for him. So when they get healthy, like you said, look out. Another piece. I like Greedy. I might like Greedy a little bit more than you because I like those long corners to get your hands on.
See, just like that, I can't get off my route.
Can't get off.
Wow, they haven't won a playoff game since 2005, so something has to give in our nation's capital. Now we move along to the Carolina Panthers because in 2018, they were 7-9, and Cam Newton hasn't had back-to-back losing seasons since his rookie campaign and his second year. So Bucky Brooks, town business, pick for the Panthers, man.
This is personal for me because this is the hometown squad. We got to get the Carolina Panthers right. We have to make sure that they're on point. And when I worked there, we went to the Super Bowl because our defense was able to dominate. When I left there, they went back to the Super Bowl because the defense was able to dominate.
Because you left.
Yeah. and that too.
That's hardcore.
Some of the intel and brain power. So I'm going to help them out. I'm going to loan Marty Hermany some knowledge. And I'm going to say this. We got to replace the all-time sack leader in Julius Peppers. He is the standard of what we expect at that position. So we're going to go and we're going to find an edge rusher who has similar traits. And I'm going to go with Cleveland Farrell from Clemson. Cleveland is an outstanding playmaker off the edge. 27 sacks in his career, 50 tackles for loss. And when you watch him on tape, it's the first step quickness, it's the relentless motor, it's the nonstop energy that he shows in the pursuit of the quarterback in this division. Matt Ryan, Jameis Winston, Drew Brees, we got to knock down the quarterback, and we got to knock him down often. Farrell will help us do that.
I think you're exactly right, Buck. You're talking about the same thing with Montez Sweat and the Atlanta Falcons. It's about getting after the quarterbacks. If you want to beat the Saints, who's kind of ran this division the last couple of years, you got to get to Drew Brees. We saw what the Rams did, and went to the Super Bowl. You got to hit Drew Brees a lot. Cleveland Farrell, hopefully he can do that.
And the fun continues, hour 2 right here on Mock Draft Live. 16 picks down, 16 more to go. I'm no math major, but that's what Cynthia Freeland told us. So we're on to pick number 17. The Giants, well, they're on the clock next. Kyler Murray, he went 1. Cleveland Farrell at 16. So what's next to do? Charles Davis, we're putting you on the clock. Big Blue, we're going to need you to make a pick for them.
All right, guys, we know they traded OBJ, so you're thinking wide receiver could be a possibility. But I know that the strength of this draft with receivers starts in the second round and moves on from there. You can get people there. Plus, Evan Ingram is a wide receiver listed as a tight end, and he'll be back healthy this year. I think that we always talk about defense with the Giants. It's a staple. It's in their DNA. You can get an edge rusher like Brian Burns here. Jeffrey Simmons, defensive tackle, I love because of what he can do inside versus the Cowboys running the football, the Eagles running the football. But can they wait on him in the knee? This is a team that has to get better right away. By the way, how many times did Eli get hit last year?
All of them.
How many times did Saquon get hit in the backfield last year?
All of them.
Yep.
Okay, so the only offensive lineman that's safe there is Will Hernandez, who they drafted out of UTEP last year. To me, you can't go wrong. Andre Dillard is a guy that I like, but I'm not going there because the Giants like to run the football.
See, that's misdirection.
Jonah Williams will allow you to run the football either at tackle or at guard from Alabama. Had a nice conversation with him at the Combine, and I said, Jonah, I'm one of those guys that thinks you're better inside than you would be outside. And he said, well, that's fine if you want to move the best left tackle in college football inside. And so he wants to be on the edge, and he'll get every opportunity to play on the edge, but I still think he can move inside like a Brandon Sheriff, like a Zach Martin, and be a better player.
Might end up doing that. Here's a kid that started 44 games for Nick Saban. He started every game as a freshman, a true freshman, at left tackle. So I would try him at left tackle first. That's the hardest spot to fill, right? And he can always move to right. He can always move to inside. But he's a tough guy. He's a dependable guy. He's a smart guy. That's a good pick. And Eli needs to stay protected, all right? Let's finish up his career in one piece.
And Dwayne Haskins when he gets the opportunity.
And Dwayne, your guy, yeah.
I hope that he embraces his love of Joe Thomas, and he's out fishing with his old man.
Oh,
he's got to be out fishing with his
day?
old man on draft day, and that's where he'll get the call from the Giants.
Let that cell service work.
Exactly
please.
right.
Love it.
All right, the G-Men, they've lost 10 games in 4 of the last 5 seasons and not good. at last look. But let's take a look at the Vikings. They'll be picking 18th, and their needs, according to NFL.com, O-line, D-line, you see the rest, yada, 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 running back. So MJD picked for the Jags earlier. So who do you like in the land of 10,000 lakes, man?
You know what? It's so funny to me that, I was looking at some of these boards, and there's one guy that's not up there, probably the most talented left tackle in the game. That's Greg Little. That's who we're going to take here. But I'm going to tell you why we're going to take Greg Little here. I just want talent. I paid my quarterback $28 million a year. All right? I got to keep him healthy. I got to keep him upright. And we haven't been able to do that. Greg Little is the guy who's going to be able to do that. He can dominate in the running game. He can dominate in the pass game. And when you add Gary Kubiak, you want athletic, talented linemen that can move sideline to sideline. Greg Little's going to be my guy.
You moving Riley Reef to the right side?
No, no. Riley Reef is going to move down to guard or to the right side. One of the two. We'll figure it out, but Reef is going to get up out of there. We're going to keep it going.
Why? Andre Dillard is on the board. And some would say he is maybe the best left tackle in the game.
We got to run the ball. I don't know if he can run block like that.
Well, he had that one game he didn't. Oh, that's right. They didn't run the ball at all in that one game. There was that other. That's right. They didn't run the ball in that game either. We literally don't know if he can run block.
Exactly. And so I sit back and I'm like, I just want to add talent. And this is, to me, is the most talented left tackle in the game. A guy that came out of high school, #1 tackle in high school, goes to Ole Miss. Still a lot of talent, just didn't perform well. You get Kubiak and those coaches with him. I think he'll be fine, ready to go. Protect our quarterback. That's where we'll start. We'll add some more as the draft goes on.
Okay, 3 of the last 5 seasons, no playoff for the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins got to step it up. In the meantime, let's head to Tennessee, where the Titans are picking number 19. Their defense, top 10 from front to back. And Colleen, she nailed down the Bucs with their first pick, but how about those Titanic ones?
All right, well, we're hosting the draft, so we better nail it. I mean, we can't be embarrassing ourselves out there in Nashville. Look, this team is pretty solid. There's not a whole lot of weaknesses when you look at the different position groups. So we're kind of in a nice spot. And, well, I didn't really want to go there, but yeah. Okay, so Marcus Mariota, he had a career low 11 touchdowns last season. It wasn't great for him. They brought in Ryan Tannehill. I like what else they did in free agency on the offense, too. They brought in Adam Humphries and Roger Saffold from the Ramley. So, they're building there, but what they really need, what they're sorely lacking, is an explosive, big play receiver. Somebody for the outside, a weapon for Marcus Mariota or Ryan Tannehill or whoever is going to be the quarterback. And when you look at Hollywood, when you look at Marquise Brown and what he can do, he is so explosive. He's probably the best vertical receiver in this entire draft. And I just think that when you drop him into this offense, they can do a whole lot. And I was looking at tight end possibly because Delaney Walker, he's getting older. He's coming off that injury. But with the 2 Iowa tight ends already off the board, Marquise Brown, I love him here. Well, what do you guys think?
What's interesting to me about that, Colleen, was they thought they got that big play receiver a couple of years ago, Corey Davis. Come out of Western Michigan, who's a big, tall, strapping lad who can run. But he's been dinged up a little bit along the way. But you add that extra weapon in, I understand totally why you were thinking tight end. You're trying to get Marcus Mariota going. Right. MJD made the point earlier, for Nick Foles, having that tight end makes you a better quarterback. They've got to get it, but as you said, the top 2 guys are gone. You weren't ready to go Irv Smith there.
Not yet.
Hollywood Brown makes a lot of sense if you're trying to kickstart your offense to try and get an extra weapon.
And he'll be ready
there
by training camp, too. He's coming off that Liz Frank injury.
And Mariota has some issues with the accuracy. So I would thought you would have went DK Metcalf, a bigger target with a higher, bigger catch rate, so you can have error. But with Marquise Brown, as long as you can throw the ball far,
hey, he'll get there.
He's gonna go get it. It's like the Incredibles.
Cut your drop down and throw instead of a 5-step, cut it to 3 and throw it.
Let it go. Let him go catch it. Yeah.
MJD, a man after Dave Damashek's heart. Dave, a big fan of the Incredibles. We'll get back to that in just a little bit. But from the draft host city of Nashville to Pittsburgh, PA, safe to say it's been a tumultuous offseason, and that might be the understatement of the offseason.
One of the offseason's biggest questions has been answered. AB trading in the yellow and black for the black and silver.
Antonio Brown pulls it in. This is unbelievable. Wow.
It's legendary.
While we were sleeping, Le'Veon Bell agreed to a deal with the New York Jets.
Le'Veon Bell for the half step on the defender.
New York Jets Nation, we here, baby. You already know what it is. Jets.
We as an organization have moved on. I think they, as professionals, have moved on. We're excited about the formulation of our team for 19.
So, Lev Bell's gone, AB is gone, Native Yinzer, Steelers superfan Dave Damashek. Pick for Pittsburgh, please.
Somebody get hold on. Somebody get second tissue. You see that teardrop?
Levy and Bell and Antonio Brown are gone.
Yeah, they're gone officially.
I have not. Listen, first of all, the Wolf has me upset because that was going to be the splashy move was to replace Antonio Brown. Mr. Big Chest with his cousin, Hollywood Marquise Brown. That would be fine. Juju as your number one would thrive if you had somebody like that with the high end.
Would have been perfect. Sorry, though.
It's a shame.
Not gonna work out.
Shame. Now, listen, Bud Dupree is likely in his last season in Pittsburgh. They obviously need somebody to go on the opposite side from T.J. Watt. So Brian Burns makes some sense here. This team, in spite of those big losses, is in win-now mode, now more than ever, especially with number 7 right up against it. As a matter of fact, let's start the future now with Daniel Jones. No,
what?
I'm not. Of course. I would never do that to the franchise QB. I don't love this pick here. Of course, Kevin Colbert doesn't have a knack for picking cornerbacks in the first round, but he's going to try and break that spell here. Byron Murphy, playmaker, cornerback, along with Joe Hayden.
I certainly hope you give him more enthusiasm when you make
I mean, you really.
I mean, like,
Dave,
welcome to Pittsburgh.
I mean, you absolutely sold
Like
that
commercial, we're going to give you the middle seat.
He was at the top of the Steelers draft board.
I was excited about Marquise Brown. This will be fine.
So what you're saying, Dave, by not taking Marquise Brown, the cousin of Antonio Brown, you're going against the family. Right? You're not going to let the family there because now you don't have any locker room issues of a guy coming in, everybody going, I don't know, cousin, you have to deal with that part. But, Byron Murphy makes a lot of sense for them in terms of what they do defensively.
Yes.
I think he's got the best instincts of any corner in this draft. And we saw him at the Combine where he'd added 14 pounds and competed. Think about all the guys who pumped up their weights, weighed in, and went home because they weren't ready to carry that weight. He carried it, went through the drills, ran well, looked fluid. So I think it's a nice pick for you. I wish you could sell it a little bit better because the people in Pittsburgh now are like, Byron Murphy, why would I want Byron Murphy? Because you don't want him. So I don't want him now, but I think it's a really good pick for Pittsburgh.
If it were me, I would want him, and I would be really happy about it because the Steelers do a great job in their front, getting a ton of pressure. And the best way to make that front work even better is to pick a corner that strategically fits because that's how you increase turnovers, that's how you maintain the front and the back working together. So it is a great strategic fit, and you should sell it way harder than that.
This is not to denigrate the kid. Rather, Kevin Colbert, when it comes to picking wide receivers, is Steph Curry. He is a sharpshooter. He's more Antoine Walker when it comes to picking quarterbacks.
Making the selection, so you can sell it and be excited.
And the last time
what they
Pittsburgh
need
won a Super Bowl, they had the number 1 defense. So you got to get back to that.
But Steph Curry didn't pick himself. His GM picked him.
Statistically, the defense is not bad. The problem is they lack for turning the ball over. Byron Murphy can help a lot with that.
We're ready for this. Hawks on 3. 1, 2, 3, Hawks. Deep down to the back of the end zone. It is caught for a touchdown. Fearless. Come on, we need an answer right here. We're answer. Let's go. That's what it's about, man. That's what it's about. Come on. Come out swinging.
Tries to run to the left side. Tries to get outside of Acho. He does. Turns upfield to the 5. Makes a man miss. He's in.
Only Russell Wilson can make these types of plays. Russell Wilson.
The highest paid player in the history of the National Football League.
Hey, Seattle. They got a deal done, the Seahawks.
Oh, that's bad.
At the quarterback position, Russell Wilson, he got
3
paid.
chains.
And the team needs
Everybody go to sleep now.
Keep Russell clean, make some plays on defense. Yeah, you see him right there. Cynthia Freeland, 2 chains or 3. You can give us that decision. Also, a pick for the Seahawks.
I'm going to pretend I never saw that video.
I know.
You can't unsee it,
Can't
Cynthia.
unsee it.
You can't unsee it.
That was a great video. Sierra video.
Okay, great.
Bad lighting.
Listen, I only have 4 picks
Mood
here.
lighting.
I don't have a second-round pick. Only 4 picks in the entire draft, so I have to be really careful here. I had the 27th ranked passing offense last season, so I'm going to want to address this area. And I was obviously looking at wide receivers because I don't have second-round picks, and I do think there will be a lot of wide receivers that go then. However, Russell Wilson's been sacked the most since 2012 when he entered the league. No season did he have fewer than 40 sacks, and last season, a career-high 51 sacks, which tied for 3rd in the league. I really need to go O-line here, and the best O-line available player, Andre Dillard. I need a tackle. we do have some questions about him against the run because we haven't seen him run block as much as some of the other prospects. However, I need pass pro, and he is excellent at pass pro. So I'm going to take him. I'm going to be happy about it, and then I'm just going to twiddle my thumbs until round 3 and hope I can spin some magic in the defense for Pete Carroll. We've seen him do it before late in the draft, so here we go.
When you make a big investment in the quarterback, you have to make sure that you protect him, and that's one of the ways you can protect him. Andre Dillard is an outstanding pass protector. The questions will continue to sit around, can he block in the run game? This is a team that runs it more than any team in the league, but they play action pass off of that. Russell Wilson only averaged 26 passes per game, but 35 touchdowns and 450 attempts. It makes sense.
You've seen a guy like Aaron Rodgers make his tackles look better, make his whole O-line look better. I think that could be the same type of effect you have here because you need a little help in pass pro. And we've seen them create schematic devices in order to get their run game going. So let's go with the guy who we know can pass pro.
And don't forget real quick, though, those mobile quarterbacks often put their guys in some peril, too, because they never give up on plays. And where's Andre going to play initially with Dwayne Brown there? Do you play him on the right side? What do you do?
I think athletically, he certainly can play on both sides.
He can play anywhere,
He makes their offensive line better.
He can play anywhere.
I'm putting him on the left.
A rare combo of speed and size, 6'5", 315. He's a big man with that 4'9", 40. Now, plenty of turnover over in Baltimore when it comes to this 2019 season. And, Dave, you might want to close your ears. You know how they did in the AFC North a season ago. So, Matt Money Smith, please pick for Baltimore.
Yeah. This similar to what Cynthia was just saying. I think we can't do it here, but this is just a prime spot to trade back. They lost their second round last year. They do have a lot of needs. You saw those departures. So I think that's probably what they'll try to do. If they do stay here, this is where I disagree with Dave Gettleman, that need does not come into play. It does, because you don't have a number 1 receiver. You don't have a number 2 receiver. So even though I look at my board and I see Garrett Bradbury sitting there way ahead of anybody else, it makes too much sense. But I can't win games by running mesh 40 times.
Why can't you?
Because do you see how many times? You see how many times they fumbled against the Chargers? They put that ball on the ground.
I went to the
6
playoffs.
times.
I went to the playoffs.
Went to the playoffs and you got destroyed by the Chargers because you fumbled the ball 4 times. So
won
guess
the
what I
North.
need? I got to open it up.
Army put 70 on Houston in the bowl.
I got a guy who threw 57 touchdown passes in his last 2 college seasons. I need a big target. I need a blazer. I need to open it up. Let's get DK Metcalf.
You're getting Brashad Perriman again.
No, not getting Rashad Perriman. I'm tired of people telling me what DK Metcalf. Here's what I'm saying. I don't want to hear about what he can't do. I want to hear about what he can do. And what he can do,
physical guy.
I watch him wreck defensive backs.
The big physical guy who's going to run past people, jump over people, go through people.
And we know he needs a big target.
And
we know Lamar needs a big target and a big catch radius.
It actually makes a ton of sense because what did John Harbaugh say he wanted this offseason? Big physical receivers. He loves big physical receivers. DK Metcalf's the prototype.
The only thing about it in this year's draft class, wide receivers, you have a bunch of guys in that 2nd and 3rd round range that necessarily don't have the size, but have the stature, the physicality, and the toughness to kind of play with Baltimore. A guy like Garrett Bradbury, as they're remaking this offensive line to do some of that zone read stuff, he also would be a good fit.
And remember, we have no second.
And you mentioned,
Baltimore has no
Bradbury.
second.
I like that.
Right.
You talked about Bradbury as well.
And Money's exactly right. Obviously, they have to land on a wide receiver because no big-ticket free agent is ever going to go there in that offense as it's constituted.
And remember, Daniel Jeremiah said that DK Metcalf is built like the Batman suit, so a.k.a. a young Dave Damashek. Now we move on to the Houston Texans. They're on the clock, NFL.com. They're your one-stop shop for your team's needs as it pertains to the draft. Now, Bucky, long and short of it, what kind of weapons does Deshaun Watson need?
Look, Deshaun Watson is terrific. He's a franchise quarterback. We've seen what he's been able to do in Houston. This is a team that can light it up. I would say this would be a prime spot to think about a running back because they certainly need to improve in that area. Offensively, they could use another offensive lineman or 2.
Yeah,
but we got 2 second-round picks, 54 and 55. We can go back-to-back and fill that need. I'm going to say that we go to the defensive side of the ball, and I'm going to go and get us a corner, a guy that can play in Romeo Crennel's system. I'm going to go with DeAndre Baker from Georgia, Jim Thorpe Award winner. Is a guy that is very, very competitive. He's tough, he's gritty, he has the ability to play man and zone. And look, there's some things that I don't necessarily like that he's talked about in terms of not really working out, not being an A1 guy when it comes to that. However, I'm saying we're going to get him in our system, we're going to teach him how to work because the skills that he displays on tape lead me to believe that he can be a top-notch corner. He is a nice fit for what we want to do in Houston.
I like this guy a lot. First-team All-American guy. Started 34 games over there at Georgia. And, you know, when you say Jim Thorpe Award winner, you're talking about a lot of good players that they're evaluating, and he can do this. I like his length. I like his ball skills. He's got 7 picks, a lot of pass breakups. This is a good get. 6'5" wingspan. What is it with me and wingspan and length?
I don't know.
I like that.
I'm taking a
shot. I like that.
Man.
You got to go up. There's a lot of tall receivers.
I haven't gone for line of scrimmage yet today. I can't get off the line of scrimmage.
The other thing is this, too.
Getting
Like,
jammed
there's
up.
certain corners that are dynamic. They can break on passes. They can jump. You have those smaller guys. But if you're not small, you're not dynamic. You want the length because it makes it tougher, smaller windows for quarterbacks to throw the ball to receivers. So I'd rather take a corner that has a 6'5" wingspan because guess what? You try to get some of these inaccurate quarterbacks that make some of these tough throws, you're going to get a pick.
Yep.
So, DeAndre Baker going to the Houston Texans, AFC South. What's new? Should be a competitive division. No secret there. But coming up next, it's going to be the Bears and the Raiders. Well, it's the Raiders coming up next, but we know that the Raiders, they did some shuffling around when it came to that Khalil Mack trade, and they had the first-round pick at number 24, and they have 3 first-round selections. So, making this pick right here for the Oakland Raiders, he's a Bay Area native.
I played for the Raiders.
MJD.
I played for the Raiders. I played for the Raiders.
You did?
Yeah, I played for a year.
Just a little bit. A cup of coffee.
You played for him. Mooch didn't coach for him, though, right?
I did not coach
for the Raiders, though.
What are we doing?
What are we banging the table for?
Pounding the rock.
We're pounding the rock.
Pounding the rock.
Josh Jacobs, just put it out there.
Yeah.
We need a running back that we can give the ball to 30 times a game because we want to pound the rock. Now, I know it sounds crazy. People are going to say, oh, my God, this guy didn't play. That's why I'm drafting him. No mileage.
Yep.
I can take this young man, give him as many carries as I want to, understanding that he only touched the ball very few times in college. It was under 150, 160 times. I like it. And then his ability to be explosive in the return game, the passing game, help my quarterback out, help my offensive line out. I got Mr. Big Chest on one side, Tyrell Williams on the other. Now I'm about to just run downhill. We're not going to see loaded boxes. Shoot, we're back.
Yeah, and people are going to ding him for his 40 time, but anybody look at his 10 time? He's quick off the ball now.
It's quicker than fast.
He looked at his 10 time.
MJD, I was in Tampa when they won the Super Bowl and brought it back home. I was there for the ceremony. The first cheer John Gruden led in the stadium was Pound the Rock.
That's right.
That's what he wants to do, and I'm going to give you my comp right here. He's Charlie Garner, who John loved when he had him in Oakland before. He gets Charlie Garner again, draws up his ball plays for him, and off they go. I love the selection.
The only question, how are we going to say that a guy can tote it 30 times a game when there's no history? He has no history in college of being able to tote it.
I don't need to see you tote it 30 times in college.
I thought you were a production guy. You told me you were a production guy.
But they were always so far ahead in those games. They didn't need him.
He was the third back often in that team.
Your scouts told
Fresh legs.
Your scouts told you.
First of all, fresh legs. Second of all,
don't you have to do it?
Why would I want a guy with 2 or 3 miles on his body? Give me a guy with. If I want to buy a car, I want it fresh off the boat.
MJD,
no car smell.
MJD, the first running back peeled off the board, and no confetti cannon. The Philadelphia Eagles looking to get back to their winning ways in 2019. And Colleen, I'm looking at you because looking at Philly's ranks a season ago, 28th in rushing yards per game. So you are on the clock, Eagles fan.
Yes, and I was thinking about maybe addressing the running back situation, even though they did trade for Jordan Howard, but they really kind of need a pass-catching running back. They need a guy that can be out there all 3 downs. And with Josh Jacobs off the board already, I think I'm going to go a different direction now. So I'm looking at this secondary, and I see a lot of problems with last year, just the health. It wasn't great. They had so many injuries, and Howie Roseman did a really good job of addressing the defensive line in free agency, brought it back Vinny Curry, brought in Malik Jackson. So I'm going to go with a safety in this situation, and I'm going to go with Jonathan Abram here. And I love this pick because I love the way the pairing with Malcolm Jenkins, I think, would be really good.
Rodney McLeod's rehab has just stepped up.
It's exactly, I know, right?
What?
And Jonathan Abram, he's more of a thumper, but I like that he has that veteran presence in Malcolm Jenkins there to sort of bring him along and mentor him. And I think that this would just be a really good fit for the Eagles with him.
Yeah, you know what? The Eagles definitely defensively need to help to fix that secondary, right? But they don't have a guy that just comes down here hill and puts fear in people. I mean, Malcolm Jenkins plays linebacker, but he's not a tremendous hitter. You
Plays
want
a lot
someone
of
to be.
slot, too.
Yeah, you want someone when they come across the middle to be like, I don't know if I want to catch this or not, right? And that's what you're going to get with him.
And that was a smart need to address. They're 30th in pass defense.
Right. That's what I was looking at when Cole pointed out the.
Yeah, he went to the run game, pointing it out, Cole.
But the 30th,
they're not very good. They need all the help. This guy's a heat-seeking missile, very high football IQ. I like the pick. Good
you
job.
want to slow those guys down.
Abram labeled as one of the hardest hitters in all of college football. We'll see if that translates on Sundays. Now, here's a look at who our draft analysts have the Colts picking at number 26. Abram, that's who Daniel Jeremiah has going to Indy. Dexter Lawrence, that's where Chuck D and Lance Zierlein are on the same page, and it's Abram with Bucky Brooks once again. But Dave Damashek, lend your expert opinion. What do you think?
First of all, I do want to go back and say, poor Carson Wentz, before the first snap even happens, is there any guy in the NFL with more pressure on him than that kid right now as Nick Foles walks out the door?
Roethlisberger.
Short of a Super Bowl, he's going to get booed. Anyhow,
Roethlisberger has a lot of pressure on him, too.
One team that's set up for success long-term as well as right now, the Indianapolis Colts. I could see the way Chris Ballard seems to be approaching this thing, that Jeffrey Simmons would make some sense here, not just looking at 2019, but beyond that. However, T.Y. Hilton, year after year, he's their number one guy, and I know they add Funchess, but I think that they need to jazz it up a little bit more for Andrew Luck. N'Keal Harry would do that playmaker.
I like it. So you're thinking big target to go along with T.Y. Hilton, and then Eric Ebron as a tight end, right? And Funchess is another big one. You guys are talking about forgiving with all this. That's a pretty good deal.
Scary offense to go along with a scarier defense once you throw Justin Houston in there as well.
Well, he was on path to the draft with me and Bucky,
and me.
And Colleen, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Only
fine.
Colleen now.
It's
Much
fine.
bigger than you expect.
I interviewed him on the show, but
Much
it's fine.
bigger than you expect, though. I mean, that dude is huge. And so you got a guy that can go across the middle. Obviously, he can help in that running game as well, because we know the Colts like to run the ball a little bit. So you have a receiver who can block linebackers and safeties. And he's a physical specimen.
But I do like what Dave was thinking about Jeffrey Simmons, because think of that division. Think of what you're dealing with in that division. You're getting some horses coming at you. Derrick Henry's going to get the ball from game one this year, coming out of Tennessee, right? Jacksonville, they're trying to get back to running the football, getting Fournette going.
So
this is what you're dealing
Dexter
with.
Lawrence, get that big body
Those
in the middle.
big body in the middle to deal with. So I like what you were thinking there with Simmons. The problem with him is when will he be ready, and how long are you willing to wait?
N'Keal Harry, he's a big, strong guy. We had him, too, on Total Access right after you guys.
Who didn't interview him? Who didn't have him?
But what a specimen. But he's an athlete now. He played baseball, basketball. He played wildcat. He returned punch to kickoffs. Move. For a big guy, it's unbelievable. I like the pick.
And Mooch, you put some unbelievable defense on N'Keal Harry on the backyard just yesterday. It was unbelievable. We'll maybe bring that back up in just a second. But until then, we're going to move things along because the picks, they just keep rattling off the board. And we're going on to the third and final first-round selection by those Oakland Raiders so far. Money took Houston's Ed Oliver at 4, and MJD took Josh Jacobs out of Alabama at 24. So, Mr. Davis, what are your thoughts, my man?
Yeah, with Oakland, you can go anywhere on this. You guys know that, right? And they've already addressed some pretty good needs, right? When you go up to the top here, Ed Oliver, pass rusher, guy inside. They got Josh Jacobs, a running back, be multi-purpose for John Gruden. Now, what are you thinking? Well, you got those already. Everyone's thinking quarterback. Here's the question I always throw at people. John Gruden and rookie quarterbacks.
Not happening.
It's not been what John's really wanted, right? He likes veteran guys. So that throws that out for me. I'm thinking back on the back end of the defense now. Kid who's out of Temple, Rock Ya-Sin. Okay? And my comp for him is a guy already in the league by the name of Josh Norman. Think about where they both came from. Josh Norman from Coastal Carolina. Ended up opening up eyes in the postseason. Rock Ya-Sin got the 1 year coming from Presbyterian all the way up, and he goes to Temple and gets one of those single-digit numbers. Now, for a lot of people, who cares about that? The 9 toughest guys not playing line get single-digit numbers at Temple as voted by teammates, and they voted that for him in spring practice. It is a big deal. He's competitive out on the corner. He's the kind of guy that they need. And Cynthia, have the Raiders gotten many interceptions last couple of years?
Nope.
Not that many, right? So I think this is something that they need.
I got to ask, CD, with the last name Davis, with drafting for the Raiders, did you at least think about Paris Campbell?
Of course I did. Of course I did.
It was part of the thought
not
process.
only that, I want to trade for Montez Sweat because
Exactly.
of that speed.
Exactly.
Anyone who can flat out run, who can move. That's what we want. And no, I stopped. I drew the line at bringing back Bruce Campbell.
There we
That's
go.
where I stopped, okay?
Okay. And Rock Ya-Sin, first team All-AAC in his first and only season as a Temple Owl. We'll see how he plays on Sunday.
This is the game. Shotgun snap. Rivers rolls to the right, throws to the end zone. Caught! It's good! It's good! Mike Williams with the grab! Chargers lead 29-28. There was no one. The closest Chief was in Kansas City, Kansas.
Like Pierre-Andre in top voice, our guy Matt Money Smith on the call for the Chargers' big Week 15 win in KC. And here's a look at who our guys at NFL.com have him taken in mock drafts. Rock Ya-Sin, that's DJ. Charles Davis has him as well. We just saw him pulled off the board. Dexter Lawrence, Bucky Brooks, that's where he's going. And Lance Zierlein says Caleb McGarry. And Money, it's only fair. You call the game, so I need you to pick for you.
Yeah, I talk about pressure. I got to face Tom Telesco here in a couple days. Look, a lot of people are probably projecting quarterback, right? Phillip Rivers is getting older. He just had one of his best seasons, and he wants to play. So I think probably another 3-year deal in his future. So drafting Drew Lock or Daniel Jones here doesn't make a lot of sense. But you have, I think, on what Tom Telesco's board is, he never drafts for need. If you just go through his history, he always takes best player available. And to me, there's 2 players that stand out. Jeffrey Simmons, who you got to sit on and figure out when he's going to come back, and Garrett Bradbury. And when you look at their guards this past season, man, Phillip Rivers masked a lot of those issues because of how quick he got rid of the ball. But you got Forrest Lamp coming back. You put Garrett Bradbury in there at that other guard opposite, Mike Pouncey, and now you really have a formidable group in front of Phillip Rivers to do his sort of damage. I think this is a no-brainer if he's sitting there for Tom Telesco.
That's an interesting pick for you there, and I totally get what you're talking about because early in his career, Bradbury was a guard who moved over to center, and versatility and offensive lineman is what you have to have on Sunday. What do you say, Bucky? In order to get a jersey?
Got to get a jersey.
Got to get a jersey on Sunday, right?
Got to be able to swing.
Got to be able to swing and do it.
And Pouncey, remember, Pouncey was that at Florida, too.
That's right.
Pouncey played guard and center as well, so you get a chance to do however you want to make it work.
Teams are only suiting up 7 offensive linemen, okay? So you've got to have your starters and your backups have to have versatility. This guy can start at center or guard, the Remington Trophy winner. And, you know, he's a tough guy. He was the team captain. You know, you like all those qualities, the intangible leadership type qualities that a center has to have. You better be a smart guy.
Get your automatic backup center who can play right there, right now, which is a great
He didn't give up
flexibility.
a sack or a pressure all season.
I think the guards for the Chargers gave up all of them. So, yes, he was fit.
This is a lot like Detroit with Frank Ragnow and Graham Glasgow, interchangeable center guard, and off they go.
All right, and gang, and MJD, I'm looking at you. We just got an email from NFL Network Ops. No banging on the desk. It's fragile, all right? Or fragile, as they say over on Cleveland Street. Now, let's get to Kansas City because the Chiefs on the clock when it comes to their offseason activity. Made some additions, also a few subtractions, some big potholes to fill. So, Cynthia, make your pick.
All right, so this is an interesting position. I'm picking number 29, so almost second round. I have 2 actual second round picks, so I've got a lot of needs to fill there. I had a lot of things going on, and I see maybe like a top 5 overall potential player in this entire draft class, like sitting on my board. And I don't necessarily need to like rely on him playing this season. Yeah, Jeffrey Simmons, welcome to my team. I know the ACL injury happened kind of late, so it's unclear when he's going to be able to be available for me. But Steve Spagnuolo is going to remake this defense, and Jeffrey Simmons and his future prospects, like going long on Jeffrey Simmons is just nothing but upside for me. Obviously, you know, Dee Ford's gone, Justin Houston's gone. I'm going to need some help here. We'll see what happens here.
What do you tell your Chiefs fans? Because I love the pick, because I think Jeffrey Simmons is a stud. But what do you tell your Chiefs fans with such a bad defense last year that kept you from going to Super Bowl? I'm going to take a guy in the first round. He might not play for me this year.
I print extra Patrick Mahomes stuff, and they say that he's going to throw 50 touchdowns.
I knew you had a plan. I knew you had a plan.
Because where you're at the bottom of the first round, you get an opportunity to get a top 5 pick. This is
it's hard to turn that down.
And look, we know what's coming down the pipeline. At some point, you're going to have to pay Patrick Mahomes. So what you want to do is secure enough players on these cheap deals where you can pay the quarterback and still have a formidable team.
Great pickup at
Jeffrey
29.
Simmons is a top 5 pick. To get him at the bottom of the first round is an excellent value pick.
Did I just win the division?
I don't know if you won a division.
In 2021, yeah. You did.
Well, the Chiefs hoping to win the division for the 4th straight year in 2019. We'll see if all that holds up. Back here in Mock Draft Live, and Juwan Taylor, he was the Packers pick at number 12 earlier in the day in the 2019 draft. The first time Green Bay has had multiple first-round selections in a decade, 10 years. Mooch, I need you to pick for Green Bay one more time, man. What do you got?
Well, the theme over there in Ashwaubenon is help Aaron Rodgers be Aaron Rodgers, right?
Did you just drop an Ashwaubenon?
He did. That's where the Packers are.
Wisconsin now.
Okay, so you got to tackle and protect. It's right.
It's like Green Bay.
It's right
Stone's throw.
But you know what? They lost Randall Cobb, right? A couple years ago, Jordy Nelson, Aaron Rodgers. Where's all my guys going? So we're going to take a receiver right here, and it's a perfect fit. A.J. Brown named Arthur Brown from Ole Miss. You know, DK Metcalf went already, right? But the leading receiver at Ole Miss, 85 catches, 1,320 yards, 6 touchdowns. A.J. Brown, he can play outside, he can play in the slot. Heck, he can return kicks if you ask him to. This guy's a big, strong guy, good route runner. Boy, Aaron Rodgers is really happy watching this mock draft right now. He goes, way to go, Mooch.
So with his size, you essentially got the tight end you were looking for, too.
Yeah,
At 230 pounds. He can take,
good point, yeah.
He can take those tight end.
Big slot receiver, much like Mike Thomas. This dude has outstanding hands, baseball background, drafted a legitimate baseball player.
And one of the great viral pictures we saw, the run up to the draft, him, DJ Metcalf, shirtless.
Flexing out.
And when I saw that, you know what I did? I went and got more shirts to put on. Because there's no way I'm getting there. So I'm just going to get a bigger shirt.
Dude's tripping. They decide lifting weights, start catching the ball.
Next up, the defending NFC champs, the Los Angeles Rams, MJD. Once again,
the Ramley, I should have brought my shirt.
They're making their pick, and the man who is in that radio booth providing analysis for each and every single game, it's Maurice. Take a listen.
First down and 10 from the Kansas City 40. He fires right sideline. Gerald Everett, caught over the shoulder at the 10. Tiptoes the sideline. Touchdown, LA!
Jared Goff found the matchup he wanted and takes the shot deep. Great throw, great catch. Break a tackle and get in the end zone.
So, MJD.
I like a little bit of emotion, too.
Hey, we got some guys sitting around this table now. Listen, those two might hook up at some point.
There we go.
Chargers and Rams.
We actually did. We actually did. And we won.
Yeah, we did. Just compensation.
Now, I was talking about you guys getting in the booth together.
Yeah. Right. Well, we did. We did once.
We did once.
We'll talk about that.
That's easy to forget about because we weren't paid for it.
Well, listen, guys. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Stan Kroenke and the whole Rams organization for allowing me to go along this journey last year. We went to the Super Bowl and all those things.
They're going to start playing you off the stage.
I had never been to the Super Bowl before, so to get the chance to go and call that game and be a part of that, all those things was awesome. We got to find a way to get back.
Yeah.
Right. So we lost in Ndamukong Suh. Our defense, we weren't really stopping the run. Hold on, don't buzz me yet. But I'll say this: Dexter Lawrence is going to come in right away. And I'd like to thank everyone here for allowing this young man to fall to Los Angeles because this is what we've been needing. We need a guy that can clog up the middle, help stop the run, and allow Aaron Donald and the rest of these guys to get on the edge. We already, we went and got the guy from the other school, Clay Matthews. And, we got Fowler coming off the edge. Now we put Dexter Lawrence in the middle. You have Aaron Donald, Michael Brockers. Anybody can play linebacker behind that. We're just going to let these guys go get after the quarterback. And guess what?
What?
There you go.
I'm trying to go see you guys in South Beach.
There you go.
This time I'll wear my chocolates.
I love the pick because you don't have Ndamukong Suh. You get another big body that can replace him, another first rounder to throw on that defensive line. Well schooled, well taught. With my dad coached him in high school.
Yeah.
He has all the traits that you need to.
Good foundation.
Good foundation.
How much does he weigh?
He might be 340 right now, but it's cool.
That's what I want. I want you to be 350.
Yeah.
Give me an ultimate.
The big question is, though, we saw Belichick and Flores solve the Rams in the Super Bowl by saying Todd Gurley cannot beat us legitimately, and Todd Gurley is a splendid fella and a dominant runner in full health. He did not look to be in full health. They're going to need to find somebody to go behind him and perhaps even be the feature back.
Before,
yes.
Right? For a running back, 6 carries or 4 carries in the first half of a game is not going to cut it. Right? You got to give me the ball so I can get going. The Rams never ran the ball in the AFC Championship game or in the Super Bowl. Now, they ran against the Dallas Cowboys and ran those guys, and I think, hey, Eric, that's for you. But I'm just saying, if you turn around and give Todd the ball, let's remember this too. I think he had 300 and plus carries by week 15, so they had to back off him a little bit. I think they get a guy later down the road, but we need to stop the run right now so that we can go ahead and win the Super Bowl.
What are you going to be wearing down there in South Beach, MJD?
Chocolates.
What?
All right.
Good looking shoes.
Yeah.
Google
that.
Those
Little sandals with your
Until
toes.
then,
With the thing
don't go
between your toes.
anywhere. Reigning Super Bowl champs, they're on the clock. So could they take a quarterback of the future, perhaps like Daniel Jones?
Dad shorts, chocolates.
Open man and a touchdown.
Daniel Jones, quarterback.
And Daniel Jones takes it to the end zone.
A two-time team MVP.
Touchdown, Patriots!
Gronk with the spike.
Makes the catch over two defenders. Touchdown, Gronkowski.
Big number 87 was an unstoppable rebel force. You can't guard him.
All right, tight end, certainly a position of need for the defending champs. The all-time great Gronk stepped away from the game, as you may recall. And here's a full list of team needs for the Pats. Tight end, D-line, defensive back, offensive line, just to name a few. So D-double, Dave Damashek, you taking a tight end here?
Let's go.
Well, listen, spoiler alert. Thank you, Cole. But I was just talking down here at the cool end of the table about which direction the Patriots might go. And Bucky correctly points out that rarely do you ever see the Patriots go with a receiver. And are the Patriots even really about the draft? They so often trade back in it to get multiple picks, so on and so forth. All that being said, they did 1 year ago in the draft essentially win the Super Bowl when they took Sonny Michel. If you recall, in December, January, and early February, that wasn't Tom Brady's offense as much as it was Michel making hay between the tackles there. And so they do have recent history of making some savvy picks there. I think they do it again here, yes. I think you've heard that Rob Gronkowski is gone. They replace him with one of Bill Belichick's favorite pals, Nick Saban's tight end. Irv Smith is the pick here.
Oh, right. I like it.
They have 12 picks and 6 in the first 3 rounds. So you're right, they do trade back a lot, but.
Well, and with, by the way, 2 quarterbacks that are projected to go in the first round on the board, they'd be trading out of this number 32, no question about it.
So somebody's coming to get that
came up,
quarterback at 32.
But still, Irv Smith is a guy that can be that flex, that hybrid tight end that can do the inline blocker, the move guy, but also put in a big slot receiver and work, again, a matchup. That's what they do. The funny thing about the Patriots, they figure out what you don't do well, and then they just going to put their best player there and make it happen. Well, you lose your best player in Gronk. Now you can put him out at wide receiver and let him go to work.
Now that Gronk's not there, remember Dwayne Allen lost all his receiving skills because Gronk was there. Irv Smith's a lot like Dwayne Allen and better, and here's his opportunity.
And the 2 other tight ends that went, Hawkinson and Fant now, one's more of an inline guy that can do a little bit of everything. One's, more of an outside guy that's a receiver. This guy, like you said, a hybrid guy, will do both very well. And I think that's a good fit. He's no Rob Gronkowski. Nobody is, all right? But you're talking about filling a need where they can run the football a little bit and catch the ball like they need to.
So we started at Kyler Murray, got down to Irv Smith Jr., 1 through 32, of course, in the books. All right, it is time for Clutch Picks presented by Bridgestone. Bucky and Chuck, you guys move like your college days. Looking good, if I do say so myself. But when it comes to the favorite pick in this draft, Bucky, I'll start with you. Which one is it?
6 overall, done by CD. Dwayne Haskins going to the New York Giants. This is a perfect pick because I believe Dwayne Haskins is the best quarterback in the draft, and the Giants are able to get him without doing anything crazy. They just trust the board, take the best player. He gives them a successor to Eli Manning.
And it's funny, some people say that he's a runner, not a thrower. He's a runner, not a thrower. But Chuck, when it comes to favorite picks, how about you?
I love Colleen's pick of Jonathan Abram to pair with Malcolm Jenkins, but I really loved Jeffrey Simmons at 29 that was done by Cynthia. A top 5 guy going at 29.
Ooh, Kansas City, the future is bright, especially with the MVP. And those were Clutch Picks presented by Bridgestone. And that's going to do it here for us. Thanks to all of our GMs, Money Smith and MJD as well. Tune in Thursday, April 25th, the 2019 NFL Draft, 8 Eastern, right here. Also on ESPN and ABC.